All right, so today we're diving into the toolkit of one of the world's, most influential thinkers on performance, Tim Ferriss. We're going to explore his whole framework for basically upgrading our human operating system. We're talking everything from the biological hardware all the way up to the big philosophical why behind it all.
Okay, let's just jump right in with a question that really gets to the core of his whole approach. Think about this. What if the reason you feel stuck, that fatigue, that brain fog, what if it isn't some kind of mindset problem? What if it's not something you can just think your way out of? What if it's actually a biological issue, a fuel issue? So to really answer that, we're going to break this whole thing down into three main layers. First up, we'll look at upgrading your human hardware, the physical stuff. Then we'll get into rewriting your mental code, the software we run on that hardware. And finally, we'll zoom out and redefine the game itself. What's the point of all this optimization anyway? All right, let's dive right into section 1, upgrading your human hardware. Because here's the thing, according to Ferriss, you just can't have elite mental output if you don't first get your physical foundation right. It all, and I mean all of it, starts with your biology.
And a huge piece of that foundation is something called cognitive fuel. Now, most of us, we tend to think our brain just runs on glucose, right? But that's kind of like thinking a hybrid car only runs on gas. There are these other powerful alternative energy sources out there that can absolutely supercharge our performance.
And what's really remarkable is just how accessible these fuels are. So first up, you've got ketones. Your body can actually make these through things like fasting, and they've been shown to improve cognitive function so fast that they're even being used with Alzheimer's patients. Incredible, right? Then there's lactate. You know that burn you feel during a really intense workout? Well, that's not just some waste product. It's actually a powerful messenger that tells your brain to grow. And finally, fasting. It's not about starving yourself. It's about training your body to be what they call metabolically flexible, which basically means getting rid of those horrible afternoon energy crashes for good.
Okay, so it's not just about fuel. Beyond that, Ferriss is diving deep into this pretty revolutionary field that could honestly redefine medicine as we know it. He poses this question: what if we could use electricity instead of pills to heal?
And this really highlights a huge difference in approach. Think about it like this. Pills are kind of like a chemical sledgehammer. Yeah, they can work, but they often come with a ton of off-target side effects. Bioelectric medicine, though, that's more like a surgical tool. It's an electrical approach that can be incredibly precise, targeting only these specific brain circuits that actually need a tune-up.
So let's look at two incredible examples of this in action. First, you have something called transcranial magnetic stimulation, or TMS for short. It basically uses magnetic fields to gently turn parts of the brain on or off. Then there's vagus nerve stimulation. By stimulating this one massive nerve, we can literally dial down the chronic inflammation in our bodies, the kind of inflammation that's now linked to pretty much everything, from anxiety to arthritis.
And if you need any proof of just how powerful this is, just look at this number: 70%. That's the remission rate for treatment-resistant depression using a special TMS protocol from Stanford. Let that sink in. These are people for whom nothing else has worked. This isn't science fiction, you guys. This is the future of mental health happening right now.
Okay, so once you've upgraded the hardware, you gotta have better software to run on it, right? And that brings us to section 2, rewriting your mental code. This is all about the art of strategic focus, especially in a world that is basically designed to distract us 24/7.
Now, the guiding principle for this whole section comes from Josh Waitzkin. You might know him, the chess prodigy, amazing learning expert. And his advice is simple: avoid the Simmering Six. It sounds kind of cryptic, but trust me, this simple phrase holds the key to unlocking world-class productivity.
So what on earth is the Simmering Six? Well, we've all been there. It's that dangerous middle zone where you're just half-focused. You're not really doing deep work, but you're not really resting either. You're just simmering, constantly checking your email, scrolling through feeds, replying to stuff that isn't urgent. This state is absolutely lethal for your performance because it just drains your mental battery without you actually getting anything meaningful done.
And this brings up a fantastic metaphor. You have to ask yourself, are you hunting antelopes or are you hunting field mice? See, hunting field mice is when you're just constantly busy, chasing all these small reactive tasks. It keeps you occupied, sure, but you're just surviving, not thriving. But hunting antelopes, now that's different. That means you're channeling all your focus, all your energy into the big, meaningful projects that actually provide long-term fulfillment. It's the critical difference between just being busy and being truly effective.
And all of this leads us to our final, and honestly, probably the most important section, redefining the game. Because look, once you've optimized your body and your mind, you have to face the biggest question of all. What's it for? What's the point? This is where we get into the philosophy of a meaningful life.
And at the heart of all this is a kind of philosophical balancing act. On one hand, you've got the typical Western drive for achievement, that constant push to improve, to fix things, to change your situation. But on the other hand, you have the Eastern practice of acceptance, which is all about having the wisdom to just recognize what is, and to observe it without feeling that frantic need to change it right away.
And this leads to a really profound question, especially for anyone who's into self-improvement. What if that constant search for the next fix, the next hack, the next upgrade is actually the very thing making you feel broken in the first place? It's like it's reinforcing this idea that something's wrong with you. This is what Tim Ferriss calls the self-help trap.
So the solution isn't to pick a side. It's not achievement versus acceptance. Real effectiveness, real peace, it comes from integrating both of them. It's about having that fire, that drive, to go out and build your best life while also having the wisdom to accept yourself and the present moment just as they are.
So let's end this where we started, with a question. You see, this whole framework, it isn't about optimizing just for the sake of it. It's about building yourself into a powerful engine so that you can go wherever you truly want to go. So the question I want to leave you with is this. If you really upgraded your body and your mind, what game would you choose to play? What antelope is actually worth hunting for you?